Okay, Bismillah, Ismail.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, 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 Rabbil Alameen. We thank Allah that has preserved us to witness another day today. We pray that He accepts our thanks and continue to increase His blessings and protections on all of us. Ameen. Like we've said sometimes back, that mental health is very important, and mental health and health generally is something that we would want to look to be bringing to our awareness to remind ourselves of regularly, inshallah. So though we've not stipulated the time, but inshallah would hope we'll be able to get to a cycle maybe once in a quarter or once in 2 months, inshallah. And it's in that light that we are doing this reminder today on mental health. And today I'll be talking about 3 things around it. First is for us to remind us of the importance of being conscious of our mental health and the mental health of people around us, wherever we find ourselves. Secondly is to look specifically at one today, one of such, which is depression. And then thirdly is to look at things around stigma, treatment, and stigma and treatment today, inshallah. Okay, so mental health has been defined differently, but one of the very common things that we see in all of it is that it is a positive state of mind and body for us. And somewhere in the NHS, somewhere I saw it where they said there is no health without mental health. That you see, if we don't have mental health, if we don't have good mental health, then the rest of your health, as it relates to your physical body, will not be important. Though people around you or you yourself might be thinking about it, but of what benefit will it be when the most important part of us, our mental being, is not good. And one of the things I want to do to remind us of putting that in good perspective is that, our mental state is the base of our being as human being. We are not the physical body that we are. We reside in this physical body. That's why when we die, we can still see the body, but we say the spirit or the soul, or however we want to describe that thing that we refer to as you, has actually left this body and left this world. And where do we think this is? This important part of us that makes us who we are, where is it? The base of it is in our mental state. Excuse me. And if we look in the book of Fiqh, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, the only person that is absolved of accountability is somebody who has lost his mental well-being, and below that we come to see that the times when you are not accountable again as well is when you are sleeping, and that is when your existence in this world is not as it used to be when you are awake. So these are 2 things I want to call attention to remind us of how important our mental health is. It is very, very important. And if we look like everything else in this world, you see the most important things in our life and in the world today are things that we don't see. And though we've come to grow to overcomplicate a lot of things in life, including our existence and our relation to our creator, but they are very simple and very easy. And that is how we should continue to keep things. You remember in several places in the Quran, 2 places in particular, in Quran chapter 2, verse 186, Allah said, when my servants ask of me, bear with me. I'm sorry, I didn't open that verse on. No, thank you. That when so Allah said He's close to us and He can hear us when we are requesting, when we are calling Him, when we pray to Him, and He answers our request. And you remember another hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that says that when you raise your hand to ask Allah for something, that He has granted before you even lowers your hand, that is close to us and is responding to our request and our need. But can you imagine how we've complicated and unintentionally move ourselves away, further away from our Creator when we have even small challenges, and somebody start to say, they are going to somebody to come and pray for them, or they are looking for somebody to do this and say this for them. Whereas the owner of everything is so close to us and is with us and is listening to us and is responding to us, but we are the ones that are taking ourselves and moving ourselves to away from Him. It is a very important part of our life that we should care about, and it is about being aware and being conscious and making conscious efforts in this respect that I'm calling us to, including myself, to remind us that this is very, very important. Our life, we can trace everything in our life back to this part of this aspect of our being and our relationship with our Creator. We can trace everything to it. Everything in our life as an individual, what we have, what we don't have, what we are doing, what we are not doing, and the whole of the world around us. Everything we can relate back to our relationship to our Creator at this level. How do we see ourselves close to Him? How what is our mental state, And to round up in that side, which brings me into the next one, is that you see, everything we do or that we don't do, like we've observed sometimes when we were looking at this thing as well, is that as human beings, we do things in a triangle of 3 things in our life: our thoughts, our feeling, and our action. These are the 3 triangles that drives everything that we do or that we don't do. Everything starts up from your thoughts. And then it goes on, this initiates feelings, and this then drives our actions. And at the base of the thought is what we believe. And what we believe then comes into what we believe consciously on the conscious level, and what we believe on the subconscious level as well. Another thing to remind us in that is the what we believe on the conscious level relates to what we know. I've forgotten how they describe this part of our brain where is about everything you know dictates how your brain works at that level. So if you don't know something, and there is maybe something is happening around you, or somebody says something about it, the not having that knowledge or awareness about that thing is the base where fear starts to come through. And somebody put it well somewhere when he says, you see, every fear that we have, you see, every fear or every negative thoughts that we have is all as a result of ignorance, either about that thing, or we are anxious, we are anxious about what can happen if, it's not what is happening, it is what may happen afterwards, that we don't know what can happen. Now, this is where fear always comes from. So that's, I'm tying it to the idea about our knowledge and our understanding of ourselves, the world around us, our purpose in this world, the owner of things, how things work, and what is happening to us. And this all itself, like I said, is all happening at our mental awareness level. And this affects how we think, and then it would affect how we feel, and then it would affect what we do. When there is any problem, right from that level of your awareness, your knowledge, and your belief, then it's going to have effect on your feelings and your actions, whether you take some actions or you don't do something. Now, so let's now go to the thing about depression, which is a form or one of the illnesses in our mental state, or a mental illness. One of it is depression. And depression has equally been defined in various ways, but that it is when one is feeling sad, unworthy, negative thinking for more than 2 weeks continuously. That is when we talk about somebody being depressed. Having those feelings of sadness, of uncertainty, not wanting to do something, can happen to anybody, can come on anytime to anyone. But when it is persistent for more than 2 weeks, that is when we want to talk about depression as an illness. And excuse me. Just like I was saying, in terms of what we know, what we are thinking, what we believe, is all around at the cause of this feeling of unhappiness, sadness, not having interest in something that you've been that derives enjoyment from before. Ironically, just like most things in modern medicine, we have not been looking at the cause for, in most places. It's always been treating the symptoms, and 90% of effort as well in this regard is focused on treating the symptoms of depression. Until very recently, when advances and interest in, and ideas about looking at the cause of things and looking at treating the cause of it has come up. But just quickly to say something in terms of this definition and a myth that runs around us. Some people saying that you see somebody who is a believer, who is a Muslim, shouldn't be depressed. Is a myth to want to say that. And one of the things I saw that made me, when I was looking at it, as to why would people come to such a conclusion, is the fact that, you see, when you look at our belief, when you look at the teachings of the Quran and the Prophet ﷺ, you want to see that when you understand them and you hold on to these teachings, then we think that there is no room for somebody to entertain this feeling of unhappy, being sad, be feeling unworthy. That there's no room for it for a believer. So, but because the Quran, Allah tells us that, or the Quran teaches us this, or the Prophet says we should do that, does not mean that for whatever reasons, yeah, that somebody cannot fall into thinking and the other way around. I hope I'm communicating. So, for example, that you want to say somebody is feeling unworthy, but when you look at the Quran, Allah said He has created us in the best of mood. We are the top of the creation of Allah. He said He has created everything for us. When He started our creation from our father Adam, He asked the angels to come and bow down to Him, as a sign of our state being higher than their state in creation. But we know that in life, sometimes, or some of the things that could trigger depression in life when we lose something, whether somebody close to us dies, or you lose a job, or there are some incidences in life, that other kind of a thing. Especially in this age as well, where there is so much information bombarding us from left, right, and center, visually, sound, what you are watching, what you are reading, and all sorts of things. One can easily start to, think contrary to these beliefs and things. And another thing that would point us to know that this thing can happen, but there are ways for us to get ourselves back on, is when you look at the life of the Prophet ﷺ as well, who Allah said He has sent to come and be, who brought the message to us and demonstrated the message to us. And He said in Him we have the best of examples. So when we look at His life, we can see it as well. So when we see these incidents that led to the revelation of Surah Dua, then we see a few other verses and chapters in the Quran as well, telling us about, it's like addressing somebody who is already thinking negatively, that no, this is how you should think, this is why these things could happen, this is how these things are meant to be taken, this is how you should respond to this kind of thing. So, so that's just a brief thing I want to talk to us about depression. So invariably, it means that we need to be checking on ourselves and people around us, and watching out for signs that we are not doing things in line with our nature, or we are slipping into negativity in any of those areas, and then to start to look for things that would bring us back to our whole self, to our positive self, to our right place.
My defense mechanism.
To our right place. Excuse me. And when we were talking about depression, that this is not something that is limited to only adults. It can affect everybody, children, teens, adults, youths, and even old people as well. So it's something that we need to look at and look out for one another for, and support one another in that respect. So coming now to talk about stigma. Stigma and the idea about supporting one another are things I want to take together. First, you see, stigma, like a lot of things that are built on fear, as we've said earlier on, is always, the base of it is always when there is no knowledge, or when we are afraid, we don't know what the outcome of something is. Excuse me. And with mental health and depression itself, we know these are not things that can be passed on from someone. Say if you are too close to somebody who is depressed, you can start to depress as well. It's a possibility, but I don't think there's any empirical information to suggest that. The reverse is actually what is possible, which I've personally experienced, that if somebody who is depressed is around somebody who is not depressed and they are consciously relating to them, is easy to get them to start to come out of that state and get back to their good self, from trying to influence them from knowledge points to their belief system, and then their thinking, and that will go to start to influence their feelings. So most of the time, the stigma is out of this ignorance that has made people to want to start to say, look at it as something that is bad. And because it's something that is bad, they don't want to be associated with it. But let's take a step back. As Muslims, we know that things in our life and in the world today are either a test or they are a test. Anyway, they will be a test for somebody, whether it's for that person who is actually directly involved, or people that will be connected or will be interacting with them and would have contact to that situation or circumstance with them. It could be actually a good thing, what we call a bad thing. So say, for example, when things that we don't like are happening, and I don't remember very well whether it was an hadith or saying of one of the imams, that when we have challenges, when we have difficulties, they are part of the ways Allah is helping us to come back, that we are probably taking some steps that are moving us away from further away from our Creator and what He expects of us in this world, and this is to pull us back to Him. So, if that is what it is, then who are we to then start to say it is a bad thing, and then start to want to label those people as people that we want to avoid, people that we don't want to be close to? And like we said, when you look in terms of support and getting better, even in the treatment, is being advised that people who are family members and friends and co, trying to be around them and support them is a way for them to get better. So, but if we are labeling it as bad and we don't want to have anything to do with it, we want to stigmatize them, it's not going to help them, and obviously it's not helping us as well in terms of what are we doing, or how are we relating to a fellow human being who we should see as a means where we want to even seek Allah's pleasure by being good and nice to them. And that brings me to one of the new developments in treatments of mental illness in the society today, what they call is it CBT or things like that, talking therapies, that in coming to understand the cause or where this thing starts, they've now come to say, oh yes, there are some, at some level, talking and guiding people's thoughts could actually help them overcome this condition. And it's something that is available on the NHS today, other than the medication that would have been just addressing the symptoms of most of this ill health, or this one in particular, when they talk about antidepressants and the like of it. But that's the idea about talking therapies, and lately I saw one as well that talks about using electromagnetic waves applied to particular points in the brain to rewire the path in that part of the brain to start to work normally, which is what is working abnormally in terms of thoughts and feelings in the system. Excuse me. And this equally shows us that when we look at the idea about using the Quran and the Sunnah to want to heal ourselves, you know, it might sound, when you don't know the connections or how it works, it might sound like, oh, would that really work? But yes, it does work, and it's working. First, on the level of you making dua and zikri to the one who is in control, who is the owner of everything, you know, and who is close to us, who sees us, who, when our creation started, where nobody has any hand in, you know, it was the one that give us that perfect form when a baby is in the womb, from where it starts off up onto the development of everything, including these mental states we are talking about. He's there and he's able to do it. So we can't and we should not write off doing zikri and doing dua as being able to help us overcome any challenges or any situation we find ourselves. And being around people, helping people, talking to people, supporting them in whatever form we are able to, for people to come out of this thing is very good. And the reverse is very important as well for us to avoid us relating to people in ways that would might drive them into this negative state as well. Is something that we need to make sure we avoid. How do we talk to people, especially children? You know, our children, how do we talk to them? Sometimes out of anger, some of us will be saying things to the young ones in the house or even youths, and you don't know how they will be taking it, especially when they are not negative. We need to be careful and be conscious of that, because you can say something and it can trigger off something in somebody's mind that then start to go wrong. So, for example, people in psychology have seen that there are situations whereby when children are growing up, what they've been hearing is like the way they've processed it is that, oh, they're not worthy, they're not good enough. And they carry that on. That goes into their subconscious, and they carry that onto their later lives. And probably when people were saying that and doing that when they were growing up, especially those who have this what we could call hard line as to how to raise children, we might be thinking they are doing them good by wanting to be hard on them, wanting to make them see things and improve, whereas it's having a negative or a wrong effect on them now and later on. Excuse me. So that is equally important for us to watch out how we relate with people at home, at work, even outside on the road. Could help someone to move forward or go the other way as well. Finally is that we should not leave things too late. When we notice something, if it's something that we cannot, we don't know what to do, or we are not, we don't understand it, let's seek help on time. A lot of things, when we approach and address them earlier on, it's easier to treat and get over than when we've let things fester and develop in the wrong direction. Same applies in our mental health as well. And there is help in the community, there is help in the health system, and we should equally, as a community, as family, as human beings, as neighbors, we should be equally looking out and willing to help one another whenever we have challenges and problems in our lives, as individual and as family, as well as whether it is mental health or general health or other things in our life. Yeah, there I am, inshallah. That's just my reminder for today. May Allah guide us to the best in it. May Allah increase all of us in good health and make it easy for us. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.